over $400,000 a year, $204,000 in overtime alone, making more money than the mayor and the commissioner, and then turn around to say, actually, I'm the victim here.
New details and shakeups, an alleged scandal amid top brass at the NYPD. Two department chiefs out. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch removed the head of the NYPD's Internal Affairs Bureau.
Amid bombshell allegations, he demanded sex in exchange for overtime pay. Lieutenant Quathisha Epps and her attorney filing a formal complaint against Madry and the NYPD, alleging a pattern of quid pro quo sexual harassment, abuse of power that went unchecked, and retaliation aimed at silencing her.
That's where this story starts. Let's get into it. Jeffrey Madry, the NYPD chief of department, big title, big responsibility, and now big controversy, quit his job and walked away suddenly. But why? What would make one of the NYPD's top brass throw in a towel so suddenly? Turns out this isn't your ordinary workplace scandal. This is the kind of nonsense that only could happen in New York. It's the kind of drama that can only come from a mix of alleged corruption, a sex for overtime scheme, and a paycheck so large it's breaking the bank. Turns out a bombshell allegation had dropped. Lieutenant Quathisha Epps. Quathisha? Okay.
Lieutenant Epps is a 19-year veteran of the department and three-time cancer survivor. Her journey well documented by the NYPD. She worked under Madry as personnel officer in his previous post, but according to the complaint, the sexual harassment didn't begin until after he became chief of department.
She claimed this wasn't an affair. This was a sex for overtime scheme. Yeah, you heard that right. Madry allegedly used his position to trade sex favors for extra shifts and fat paychecks. And here's the kicker. Epps didn't just get a little overtime. She got so much overtime that she became the highest paid NYPD officer last year, raking in over $400,000. She has reportedly, Epps, serving in the NYPD's chief of department office, reportedly approximately 1,626 hours of overtime in the fiscal year of 2024. That equates to an average about 74 overtime hours per week, in addition to her regular duties. So again, making more money than the mayor and the commissioner.
We are consciously and decisively turning the page to ensure that we always match the lofty ideals and values that make this department the envy of the world.
At a promotion ceremony Monday morning, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch not calling out anyone by name, but it seemed pretty clear what she was talking about. Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry abruptly stepping down over the weekend after Lieutenant Quathisha Epps filed an EEOC complaint saying between June 2023 and December 16, 2024, Madry exploited her emotional and financial vulnerabilities as well as her history of childhood trauma in order to coerce her into performing unwanted sexual favors.
Suddenly, everyone wants to know what the hell is going on in the overtime department. Epps wasn't just clocking extra hours, she was living in overtime heaven. Her paycheck included that staggering $204,000 in overtime alone. That's more than most NYPD officers make an entire year. So the NYPD started sniffing around her records. Why was she working so much overtime? How did she manage to pull off those hours? Was she some kind of superhero that could bend time? Was she Doctor Strange? Or there was something shady going on? Adding to the intrigue, Epps resigned early, likely forfeiting some future income, but don't feel too bad for her. Her retirement pension indicates that she is still set to pull in around $12,000 a month. That's a hefty paycheck for someone embroiled in scandal, leaving everyone questioning whether this was a well-played exit strategy or a real case of workplace exploitation. Before investigators could get too deep, Epps dropped her bombshell. Madry made her do it. According to her, he pressured her into sexual acts in exchange for those sweet overtime opportunities. Epps is out. She retired, but she's still under the microscope. And the NYPD is in damage control mode. So the commissioner right now, her name is Jessica Tisch. She started firing people left and right. There is a department that's supposed to police the police. It's called Internal Affairs, right? The problem is with the chief of Internal Affairs, Miguel Iglesias, got fired because he allegedly ignored multiple complaints about all this overtime nonsense. So this is the problem with NYPD. Can they police themselves? They knew that people were probably making tons of overtime, and the guy who's supposed to head Internal Affairs decided not to do anything about it. Meanwhile, Mayor Eric Adams, who was reportedly close to Madry, had to step up and look serious. He called the allegations extremely concerning.
It's extremely concerning and alarming.
A spokesperson for the mayor telling us he is working in close coordination with the police commissioner as the NYPD conducts a separate department-wide review to ensure no high-ranking officers are using their power inappropriately.
And this is is just politician speak for this is an absolute dumpster fire and I don't want to get burned. I have enough problems of my own. So again, let's not forget, while this is all going down, Epps retired, right? We talked about that before, but it seems convenient. She bowed out of the NYPD with her massive overtime earnings and getting that pension, leaving a trail of a lot of allegations and questions. Epps said that Marjorie forced her into this relationship starting in mid-2023. She alleged that they had 10 sexual encounters, some of which happened in his office. She also claimed that Marjorie pressured her into degrading acts like kissing his genitals, all right, and making her stay silent about it. Epps is painting herself as a victim of workplace harassment, forced to comply to keep her position and those overtime perks. On paper, it sounds like a classic abuse of power story, right? But let's pump the brakes for a second. Was this really harassment? See, this is where things get a little murky. Epps' allegations didn't come out until after her overtime pay was exposed, so the timing is already sketchy. If Marjorie was really coercing her, why didn't she report it sooner? Why wait until she was already under investigation? Some people have pointed this out, that this could be a classic case of trying to shift blame. It's possible that Epps and Marjorie had a consensual but probably obviously inappropriate and ethically wrong relationship, but now they got caught and she's throwing him under the bus to save herself. And let's be real, Epps wasn't just some random officer. She was the highest paid employee in the entire department. That's not normal. Did she benefit from this arrangement? Absolutely. Did she feel coerced? Maybe. But the timing of her accusations make it seem like it's more of a strategic move to cover her tracks. Is she claiming responsibility and accountability for stealing taxpayer money? Did she actually work those hours? And again, we need to figure out what's going on. So as of right now, there's no hard evidence in the public domain to back up Epps' claims. There's no text messages, no audio recordings, no security footage. It's all based on her word. I know eventually some of the stuff is going to have to come out. Jeffrey Marjorie has denied any misconduct. His attorney stated that this is completely meritless and we deny every aspect of it. So it's basically suggesting that Marjorie refutes that the claims of a coercive relationship with Epps. The problem is something happened, you quit. If you did nothing wrong, you wouldn't quit, you fight it. So clearly you did something wrong, probably having this inappropriate relationship. So without solid proof right now, it's hard to say who's telling the truth. Was Marjorie a predator abusing his power, or is Epps fabricating the story to avoid taking the fall for her insane overtime hours? So right now, it's a classic case of he said, she said, and the truth is buried under the pile of money and scandal. Eventually, something probably should come out in the next couple of days. We'll see. But regardless of the truth, this scandal has wrecked careers and reputations. Marjorie's gone, Epps is retired, and the NYPD is scrambling to clean up its image. Investigations are still ongoing, so we might eventually get some more answers. The biggest takeaway that I see here is the NYPD has some serious internal problems for overtime abuse to this leadership accountability. We'll see what happens. It's not a big surprise knowing that the NYPD always had some issues going on. The timing of Epps' accusations seem too convenient, and without evidence, it's hard to take her claims at face value, but doesn't mean that Marjorie is innocent either. If the allegations are true, he deserves every bit of scrutiny and punishment coming his way. The problem is just corruption, lack of transparency. And if you have internal affairs not even trying to investigate anything, then NYPD officers and top brass to do whatever they want. So until more facts come out, we're left with a lot of speculation. Was it harassment? Was it consensual? Did both of them exploit the system and each other? Who knows? But one thing is for sure, the NYPD is going to feel the fallout from this scandal for a long time. But in the comments below, what do you think happened?